Hey everyone, this is Thyworm and today I want to talk about crafting in Last Epoch. In this small series, expect bite-sized videos with specific crafting topics. This video is about the crafting components. There are three types of crafting components. They are Glyphs, Runes and Affix Shards. We'll start with the Affix Shards because they're the easiest to understand. There are plenty of Affix Shards and you can find all of them in your crafting user interface. There you find a list of available shards. You can hover over shards to see on which items you can craft those shards. Some shards are limited to only a few items. Ward gained on potion use, for example, can only be crafted on helmet, belt, gloves and an amulet. Damage dealt to mana before health is even more restricted. It only works on body armor and a helmet. As a general rule, I found that Affix Shards with very unique properties, like the damage dealt to mana, are the most rare. Affix Shards drop from monsters. That is the main way of getting these. You just find them at the end of a monolith run. You can shatter items to receive shards as well, but we will get into that in a bit. Affix Shards are the main components of your crafting. You can increase the tier of an affix that already exists on your item or create a new affix on an item. And then you can forge and you'll either be successful or you will break the item. If you're extremely lucky, you can craft an item with 4 tier 5 affixes by just using Affix Shards. However, the chances of that happening are very small. This is because of instability of items, but that is a topic for the next video. To help you increase your crafting success chances, the game offers 2 glyphs. Those glyphs go into the support item slot, and once you do that, you see what happens. Once again, you can find glyphs from regular monsters. That's the only way right now to get them. There are 2 glyphs. There's the glyph of stability, which reduces the stability damage an item takes after every craft. The chances of success are unaltered, but you may end up with an item with less instability, which basically increases the chances for future successful crafts. More on that soon in another video, stay tuned. For now, remember that glyphs of stability are useful because in the long run, this gives you a higher chance of your items not breaking. So that is what the glyph of stability does. Then there's the glyph of the guardian. This glyph increases your odds for success basically. More specifically, it reduces fractures. Once again, fractures are handled in the next video together with instability. It is just good to understand for now that the glyph of the guardian makes it less likely that your item breaks while forging. And you can see the instant effects. Just select the glyph of the guardian and see what happens in the crafting user interface. In another video, one of the final ones in this series, I will cover how to use these glyphs and shards to your maximum advantage. Last but not least, the runes. The game offers 4 different runes and they all have their purpose. First, the Rune of Shattering. This is a very useful rune. You find this from monsters and vendors sell these items as well. They're expensive, 1000 gold each, but worth the money in my opinion. Runes of Shattering allow you to shatter an item. You basically deconstruct an item or disenchant an item. Why would you want that? Well, to receive specific Affix Shards. Some Affix Shards are really common, strength for example, I have hundreds of those, but some are really rare. So when you find an item with a rare affix on it, but you don't want to craft using that item as a base item, you can shatter this item and recover the shards. This way you can sustain a healthy pool of shards for crafting, for example when you find that base item that you do want to use. You can also use it after you fracture an item that could be good but now is broken. At least you will retrieve back some of the investment in shards using this rune. What happens specifically while shattering an item is that the game looks at all the available affixes and then at all the tiers of those affixes and then applies some RNG. If you're very lucky, you will receive an Affix Shard for each affix tier that is available on the item that you're shattering. So if you have an item with 4 tier 5 affixes, you could theoretically get 20 shards. 1 shard for each affix tier. 4 times 5, that is 20. So 20 shards. It's unlikely, but that is how it works. As a rule of thumb, the higher the affix tiers on an item you shatter, the more affix shards you'll get. Second rune, the Rune of Refinement. Remember the rolls from the second video? If you manage to craft an item with high tiers, you still are dependent on the rolls within those tiers. The Rune of Refinement re-rolls these rolls. The tiers and affixes will not change, but the values of the affixes will change and a new value within the available range is rolled. Press Ctrl and Alt, look at the range, apply the Rune of Refinement, and who knows, it might actually roll much better values for your items. It comes with a small drawback because it adds 2 instability each time you use it. Third rune, the Rune of Removal. Let's imagine you found a really good item, great base items, 3 good affixes with high tiers but 1 useless affix. Then the Rune of Removal may help you out. The Rune of Removal removes 1 random affix from an item. It's RNG, but you might remove the affix you didn't want. It might remove also the top tier good affix and then your item is screwed, but hey, that is part of the deal. The RNG is not the only drawback. Apart from the RNG, the item adds a significant amount of instability, making it likely to damage your item in the crafting process. I do occasionally use this rune, however, if I find an item with, let's say, 2 tier 5 affixes I want and 1 useless affix. I use the Rune of Removal, try to get lucky. If so, great, I now have a super nice crafting base item. If not, I usually shard the item to retrieve some affixes. Finally, Rune 4, the Rune of Cleansing. This rune completely wipes all affixes from an item and sets the instability between 5 and 15. The item basically becomes a tabula rasa and you can craft again from scratch. I personally haven't found many applications for this rune, mainly because it's not that hard to find a magic item with 2 tier 5 affixes that also has around 15 instability. This item is not super useful as it stands, the Rune of Cleansing. And that's all about the crafting components. Follow me at Thyworm. Thanks for watching and making it to the end. I will see you soon. Bye bye.